just to make sure we protect the interests of council, because we're talking about public assets, make sure we're doing things. Okay, so that's probably enough for me. I'll probably pass on to everybody now. That's what we actually do.
Thanks for attending the presentation today. We can all head on now. It's been a great success.
Excellent. Now we're here. Just going through that. So that's
Thanks very much, Peter. And good morning, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Trevor Williams. I'm the Project Director for, actually my title is Disaster Recovery Project Director. It's a really exciting project, Shute Harbour. A quick update for our small tourism operators here. So Gail finished last week, sadly. Gail did a great job for 6 or 7 months. And Mitchell has replaced Gail. Mitchell is the lead. I want to give you an update on where we're at, and for those that are down there regularly, you probably see it. Really exciting. So we are about a week ahead of schedule right now, and there's some really challenging work about to start. We drove, or the contractor TAM, subcontractor TAM, drove their large piling rig onto the barge Margaret this week. All the land-based piles are finished, and as you're aware, we've been doing sea-based piles for a while, but we've actually moved the rig on now. There's 83 piles to drive and shoot. We're up to about 50. Going well there. As well as driving them, we can somehow put some rock sockets in some of them. So that happens. I don't see a lot of progress. Next week, we start putting geofabric down western end, if you like. I think the pontoon 1 will be coming this way. So it's a very heavy geofabric. This design is the first time it's used. Yeah, stitching panels together. Above the water, that's easy. Below the water, it's divers. And that's a real challenge for them. There's currents, there's sharks, and there's a crocodile. Divers have a challenge in Edinburgh. Let's hope they don't encounter the last 2. So we roll out some very heavy geofabric, and then we'll put our rock on top of that geofabric. Quickly, the pontoons have all been removed from the site, so they all made it to council. That was a relief for us, and the refurbishment on them is starting, and that goes in parallel with what we're doing on site. TAMs will be finished the following in September. That part will be finished, and we'll continue the rock wall progress all the way around to the existing temporary ferry arrangements. Excitingly, building subcontractor, WHF, from a high group, started on site in November. So that's when the building work start. And that may explain why we're sitting here today talking about an EOI process to engage with people who want to get that building in that facility. So I need to advise my contractor exactly what our requirements are. And I know I've had some discussion, my staff had some discussion, so that's there and it's included. We just need to formalise it through this process. Don't be concerned about it. I think it's a positive thing forward. So we're still on track. I'll hand this one to Craig, June next year. Right now, I think our program's got us finishing late May. As most of you know, I have to finish this and I haven't handed it for June next year. May next year, late May, is when our program's looking like, and that includes allowance for wet season this year. Normal wet season, so let's hope it's not any worse than a normal wet season. Are there any questions on the progress of construction? For the small tourism operators working out there, you'd know how popular the site is. Like all through the construction period, we've got tremendous numbers of locals looking at it and following it. So my contractors are like in a fishbowl, and everyone who attends that site gets watched as well. So no questions? I'll pass back to Peter. So Peter, the rules and regulations.
Sure. There's also some visuals there as well too for people online as well to yourselves. This presentation might as well too, we will be sharing this and uploading it as well too, so everything you see will be issued, the video will be issued to make sure you get as much information as you can to make sure we can see what we can see. Thanks, and as Trev said, we are in an EOI process. I'll explain to you the rules and regulations around it. It is the process that's defined in our legislation as local government. So the Local Government Act 2009, it is a very prescriptive process. I apologise for that. It can seem quite, it is bureaucratic, it's red tape, we do need to do it, because as I said, it is a public asset. And just to say, it is a two-step process. So we're going through an expressions of interest. I don't know, I've seen Craig on a video out there, you may have seen a video saying we just want to find out what the market is out there to utilise the asset, making sure everyone has the benefit of that, including yourselves. But that's just to make sure that we're including everyone and make sure we're not precluding anyone. You'll see there, we will need everyone to submit per separate proportion. So that means is, if I'm looking at to operate the fuel facility, I can just put into the fuel facility. If I'm just looking for a cafe, I can just put in the cafe. I don't need to have to do everything. So we use the term separate proportion. I don't think it's this weird legal term, but it's just means you can put in the bit which you're interested in or what you want to do. And so we can actually sort of put people in those groups together and what they're looking at. They'll be assessed by the criteria, which I'll show you shortly. So there is an assessment. It is a non-price-based assessment, which I will say. As I said, we're now looking at the interest of what people are wanting to put forward. So it's more about, it's almost, I always use things like, it's like a dating app. We want to know about you. Tell me about you. What do you want? What are you looking forward to? What's the things that you can add to the facility to make it a good thing? And that's what this is all about. When we're not looking hard dollars, it's purely looking at you and what your business opportunity is putting forward. Shortlisted. So we are, if we get 100, there's a process for us to reduce that down to a number to make sure we get the right people in the room, and then that goes up to our council. So council will mean it gets voted on by the mayor and elected members, the councillors, and that is a public process as well too, as all meetings are public. So once we get to that point, next step is a select invitation tender. So that means is if you're shortlisted, we're going to invite you directly. Now, your bit that you wanted. Now we want dollars, price, information, tell us what you want, all that sort of thing, so we can start. As Trev said, if I want to fit out of the office building, I want four offices. What does that look like to me? What lease fee are you going to pay for that office? How do I want it structured? What does that look? So it's more about the detail and information you're looking from there. And then again, assessed, and again, public awarding by council. So you'll see everything we do here is public, goes to council, they're the final decision maker. The three of us in the room and everyone in the room, we don't actually make that decision, we put forward recommendations to council. So as council officers, that's our role, to say this is what we see and what we put forward. By the end of the day, that's where it comes forward from. So criteria, as I said, it's more about you. It's not about price. It's wordy bits you see in submissions and things. It's the financial surety to make sure, one, that it's sustainable. So if we're going to sign a 10-year lease with someone, we're going to make sure they've got the capacity to fund that, operate it, and keep it going. If we're going to lease with you for 10 years and after 1 year you fold, that's not a good thing for us from the council point of view, from an asset point of view. So that's what that is. I will say, please don't concern yourself with the information you're putting forward on this. We have strict confidentiality within council. The number of people who can actually access that information are 4 within council. No one else. So we will lock down that tender portal you put into. There are 2 people who have access to unlock that. And then from in there, we then have a file folder system, which essentially is, that's those 4 people. So we do lock down the information. If you don't want to, if you want to put some statements in there, but and say I can provide this if we go further, things fine, but we are going to need to see it at some point. Okay, so please just don't be concerned that that's going to go out, be put into the ether and things like that. Business plan model. What's your business plan? Pretty self-explanatory. There is some more information you'll see to explain this a little bit more detail and a narrative at the end of the schedules. You'll see them 2A, B, C, D, E, the back of it. And then just give you a bit more tenure. So what you're wanting, what term you want to actually be in there for. So that, again, that's of interest to us. 5-year, 10-year, 2-year, 1 year, you know, all those things. As Craig is the operator of that facility, he wants to know what the mix of tenants will be, what it is a commercial business, what the return is, and all those different things. Proposed area use, what bits, how does that fit to? If I've got 6 people and you all want X bits, is there conflicting space? Contribution to the facility. So again, it's again going back to Craig's video, I did watch it. Looking at making it a success. Like to make it, it is a world-class asset, and I'm sure you guys sit there and look out and go, wow, this looks awesome, and everyone goes down to that facility, looks and sees what it is, and that's what the intent of this process to do is. We want to make sure that whatever you do adds to the value to the facility, to make sure when people turn up, it adds to the visitor experience. Previous relevant experience, have you done it before? Are you currently operating in that model? If that is, that means you know. That's pretty much. And the local content. Are you local already? Are you going to support local business? Are you going to bring, it's all those things that council want to see. So it is pretty self-explanatory, but it is your opportunity to sell yourself. That's all I can say is make sure, don't think less is more, it's not. So that's pretty much what we want to read about you, and don't think we know about you. In this process, the only things we can assess is what is written down on that bit of paper. If we know something about you, know you've got 20 years experience in doing what you're doing, but that's not written down, we can't assess it as that. You must have written down. Again, sorry about that, but that's the way that the government works. So, as I said before, all questions, clarifications through the LG Tenderbox portal. There is a thing called the forum. If it is a specific question about yourself that is only your question, we'll answer you directly. If the general question, which we think that everyone should see, we'll answer everyone at that point in time. 99% of the time, we answer everyone, I will say. So it's more the latter. We will issue some addenda and things. If there's some changes or some more information we want to share with you, which I will say there is going to be some more information we'll share with you, go forward. Nothing's going to change substantially, just some more information which may assist, maybe about the project, some more things about the facility itself we may want to share with you. Closing date and time, very important. That means is that website, please don't log on at 1:58. You will not load, and you are late, and I do not have to accept you. So please give yourself plenty of time. 8 AM that morning, log on, make sure everything's working. Because that portal will shut, you will not be able to access it. If you email it, that's not acceptable. You need to put it through the portal. This is an important thing. Technically, if you have any issues regarding how to load, it is a simple click, upload file and save. But if you do have any issues technically, please talk to us and we'll help you through that, because as I said, we want to get your submissions in, which I want to preclude you. As many as we can, the best. That is a fast safe. Because the idea behind that is if I put my submission in by 2 PM, why should I be treating someone differently who didn't go and do those sort of things? So that's the basis for that. So at the time and the conditions document in the front. As I said, it is lengthy, but the reason are there are to protect yourselves and ourselves regarding how we're dealing. It is as open, as transparent, and we want you to make sure you have the best shot, but there's a lot of rules. If you've got any questions about the process itself, please ask me today at the end when we have the opportunity for questions. But yeah, as I said, it is fairly standard from our point of view, but for yourselves it may be used. And so if we can clear up any grey, hopefully I'll do that for you today. It's up to the excitement. Craig, please talk about your presentation.
Thanks, Peter. So I suppose firstly, I'm sure you're as excited about the potential of this facility as we are, and that is one of the reasons why we've gone out to expression of interest. I want to clarify the reason for that. I mean, I've been in the industry for 25 years, tourism. I worked at Fantasy Cruises for 8 years. I saw Shute Harbour in the day when it was delivering 100,000 packs a month over the facility. We know what it can be. But in saying that, we're also not arrogant enough to go, you know what, we know everything. So the expression of interest process was about casting the net very wide in the hope that we actually come back with a whole lot of ideas and thoughts that we actually never considered. We know that we would expect there's going to be marine operators there. We know that we would expect there's going to be food and beverage operators there. They're fairly simple ones because that's what the facility actually has the DA for right now. But what we're saying is let's cast it wide and see how we can actually bolt in a load of complementary businesses that will deliver a sustainable commercial facility, remembering this is community ratepayer money. So, we're not in the business of this facility in building a community asset. By that I mean we've got the PEC, we've got facilities in town where we provide it for community benefit. This here is about your businesses succeeding at a world-class marine terminal. So the process of the EOI was about casting the net and seeing what comes out of that. Beyond that, I should say too that the council, with that in mind, is looking to, if need be, if an idea comes in, consider actually changing or submitting a DA back to council to allow for uses that aren't currently listed. So to those that are on Teams and to those in the room, if you have an idea that's out of the box, please don't put it in. We'll work with you if we think it's a right fit for the facility to actually provide the use of the facility so it can work. So that's one thing. What's our vision for Shute Harbour? Again, I've touched on it with regards to it being a vibrant asset that delivers the people that are successful with a world-class facility. Not operating out of a half-built shed or not operating out of a jetty that half works. This is an investment, and Trevor's team, through planning and building, is going to provide an asset that you'll be able to be proud of. Your customers will get a great experience through, and again, you'll have some tenure. And this is an important thing because reviewing the documents to date around the operators at Shute Harbour, there's some fairly loose agreements there. There's some that aren't valid. There are some that was a conversation. So from a business point of view, that really provides you with no surety or certainty. So out of this, what we want to do is be able to come up with some really solid agreements that you're happy with, council's happy with, gives certainty and takes away the idea or the misunderstanding of what we thought or what was said. So that's also the other part, is to actually provide you guys with something that will add value to your business in the event that 3 years from now you want to sell them. So there's that side of it as well. So, obviously we would expect there's going to be marine operators, food and beverage, as I said, there's fuel facilities. We're also looking at ideas, for example, where we might use the Port Mile Anchorage cruise ships, which is on the northwestern side of Long Island. Brian, you'd be aware of that probably, which days it's Club Prop. So it's less than 3 nautical miles to Shute Harbour. So what we're saying is maybe we actually have those tendered through and Shute Harbour becomes another option for cruise ships in the region. And just so you understand, is we've had conversations well back, and 5 of them had already tentatively booked Shute Harbour as a cruise ship anchorage. So what we're trying to do is go, okay, here's the facility. Geographically, it is the best facility in the Whitsundays when it comes to a marine business, I believe. And then you talk about the islands and the destinations just off from Shute Harbour. And again, I understand why that's of interest to a lot of you here today, because your businesses are essentially utilising those islands close by, and I understand that it makes part of your business mix. So we understand that, and we're not here to be the process that Pete discussed before. It is the process that's required. It needs to be transparent, and I can assure you, on the other side of this process, when you are successful, you'll actually have a document that will actually provide you with certainty around your operations. So, I think just keep going back to that, because that ultimately is all the things we're asking for is going to provide you with benefit on the other side of this. So I just sort of touching that, because if I was a business operator, and I've got a few businesses myself, without tenure or without a solid lease or an agreement, you are at the whim of a person changing a position or a council changing. So this is a great opportunity for yourselves to actually, get that bit of document that's going to provide, certainty going forward. Look, beyond that, I'm actually happy to take questions around what the facility will do. I'm happy to talk, about that. So any questions? I mean, is there anything that I haven't sort of touched on that is there any questions? I will say one other thing quickly, and that is the financial requirements as in Peter's evaluation list. Please know we're all in COVID together. Please know that we understood there were shark attacks last year. We understood there was Cyclone Debbie years before that. So when you're doing your financials, please understand we appreciate that it hasn't been the best trading terms. So don't panic if you're putting forward your financials and they aren't as solid as they might have been 4 years ago. We're very aware of what's occurred in region. So please just, as Pete said, put the information in there, qualify it as best you can. It's confidential, and the more that you can give us, the more that we can actually understand your business and hopefully provide the outcome that you're seeking. So there's not much else. I mean, once the EOI, you might just want to clarify this one, mate, but once the EOI process is concluded, obviously we'll be engaging, Peter, with those that were successful. Now, at that point, is there opportunity for the people to speak back with the officers, or should it still be a process? I'm just probably getting ahead of myself here, but I just want to understand. So once the EOI closes, you'll be notified one way or the other, I suspect, by procurement.
Yep.
And then you'll be given direction on how to process progress. But you may have questions in that.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Very good question, actually. I should have addressed it. During when you put your submission in, we might look at it and say, hey, this is really good, or we have some questions we want to ask you. So that may be an exchange of emails. Hey, look, you've said this, can you just clarify your position here? Council also does, in those rules, have the opportunity to meet with you and actually say, present us something. So if it's an idea that we say, hey, this is really good, or what we're saying is it's different from what we've seen before, we can invite you to come and do a presentation. Now that does come in with very strong probity, which means essentially it's really strict about how we operate that. We usually have another party sitting in, but we're not doing anything untoward. But we can talk to you because it doesn't, once you put that submission in, is you've actually tabled something, start talking about it. So it's sort of, we go process to process. The rules are very funny, but in there we can actually have a chat to you about written word, sit down and have a chat to you. But what we don't want is side conversation where someone else might see someone's getting a different advantage over someone else, and that's the last thing I want to do. I want to make sure everyone knows is that, because I know that's not going to happen, but it's just that we don't want that inference that that's something that would occur. So yeah, can talk to people after you've submitted about the process. Then, once we come to the tender process again, that invited bit, we can't talk to you again. I know it stops start, but that's the way it works. Because we want to talk to you about what you submitted to make sure we've got a full understanding of what you're wanting to do. Because, as Craig said, we want to make sure you're there and we've got it right what you're putting forward. Because if we've got that right, that means okay, that's exactly what we want and how that actually lands. I think you're having that certainty commercially.
That's right, and the questions are supposed to go through to procurement in this period. If there are questions that relate to commerciality, marine, people come to myself and ask, and I'll essentially be answering, but it'll be going back through, the same as construction. So, it won't be Pete's team that are procurement actually answering your questions. In some cases, if it's specific to usage and or each of our sort of roles within the development, then we'll be providing the feedback through Pete. And again, it's just making sure that there's one line of communication. So again, it falls back to ensuring probity around the process.
Very much. As I said, it's just putting in as much information as you can and understanding that don't be afraid of the process. It's just like an application for a rental house, just a little bit more formal. It's just making sure you're getting tenure and that we've got it right, because a lot changes and you may think, hey, this is an opportunity for me to do different things. Just this what Craig said about the financials. If you want to put 2 to 3 years worth to actually show trend, very much so. Please do that. Say normal trend is this, but this is what's just occurred. That'll assist much more than anything, because very, very much understand what's happening in the region at the moment. And so that's not going to go against you at all. I will say is we're up to the point whereby we're going to invite questions. Now, I will say we may have questions coming from the team and then from the floor. So what I might do is we'll go from the floor, people in the room first, and ask for questions. And then if you've got a question, we'll make sure the right person answers that for you. So is there any questions in the room that you'd like, that we may not have explained, something that's a little bit...
With the marina birth process, it's not a birth, it's also going to be touch and go. So parking, like, for an ideal world for us, have a marina berth, and we can just come, instead of going to the mooring and kind of going all the time, and the fees and charges that you're going to charge, like I know before it was on $5 per person, is that still going to be what you've been doing, or how's it going to work?
Thanks for your question, Luke. So with regards to the makeup of the square meterage, there'll be berths that can be allocated, there'll be berths that are touch and go. So it's going to be a mix depending on, again, what comes into us. It might be that, and that will then maybe point to, if you want a permanent berth or a berth at a period for berthing at night, well then there'll be associated cost with that. So what we'll do is, there's no fixed structure as yet. What there is though is we know what the facility will look like, we know what we have with regards to availability, and then we'll work with each person as they come through the process to understand their needs. So probably within your expressive of interest, they're the things you might want to be sort of including around, your particular needs and wants of the facility.
Yeah.
With regards to pricing, we haven't gone down that road yet, and we won't commit to what it looks like, because ultimately our business and revenue model needs to reflect cost, expenditure. So we're very mindful of the costs around operating marine vessels and the like. We're in the business to provide, complementary and or other facilities. So, we're not in the business of pricing people out of the market. But again, we have no structure around what that looks like yet. But I can assure you, there's a magnificent facility that will make you guys proud to be able to take people down to Shute Harbour to step off the journey.
So basically, there will be probably expressing interest for our marina's position, and that is always our position, and we can have that open 24/7. Is that something you would look at?
I have to go through the evaluation process a whole lot, but what I would suggest is, in your expression of interest, place in all the things you wish, want, and would like.
Yeah.
And then from that point, it'll then go up, and it'll be based against that criteria of 5 points.
Yeah.
So don't second guess. Put in what you want. If it's just a Christmas list,
Yeah.
put it in, and that will help you at the other side, because we'll understand clearly what your business needs are.
Yeah.
So and that's what Pete said before. I mean, if we don't read it, we can't assess it. So, and whilst we might know some of your businesses, we need to actually pull ourselves out of that and actually be assessing by criteria. So, we understand there's a lot of work that you need to do, but all I would say is, this is me doing it, the next step to ensuring, that you're a part of this facility going forward and the success of the facility. I certainly have no skills to do that, but I'm getting a shaking head from our IT guru down the back there. So
that's the stuff that Joe did. When you send it out, you can zoom in. We'll send it as a PDF, so you can zoom in as much as you wish. Yeah.
So also, what we are going to do is we're actually going to send this out in electronic version to all those that are either in Teams or in the room. So you'll actually have your own copy that you'll be able to drill down and understand. And again, this for us is just essentially the prospectus that Joe's put together is a bit of an idea or a summary around what we're thinking, knowing full well that we aren't marine tourism operators. So when you read this is just broad strokes to give you an idea and hopefully sort of paint the picture, and then you can bolt in your great ideas around your businesses into that. So.
Greg, with your fuel supply, now that it's being constructed, you're going to put funded tanks in there. What quantities are they going to be?
I'd like to call on my esteemed colleague Trevor Williams to.
I've been down there before, and I know what quantities we went through. It's going to be major across the kingdom.
Okay. Trevor, have you got some ideas around?
Yeah, I should know. Diesel, I think, is around 100,000 litres, and ULP, I think, about 20,000. But I'll confirm that. We'll come back.
Just from memory, I believe I actually put that in the document in the detail itself. I'll double check to make sure it's sort of there. If it's not, we'll push that information out as one of those updates, just to say, confirmation quite details, because I know that we looked at the design plans, I looked at the tank storage.
So again, as you drive into the facility, the fuel facility will be on the left up against the cliff. Our high-speed diesel on finger pontoon 1 and diesel and ULP on finger 2. And just one of those images, I just invite, so those people who are at Shute, the facade on the building, the car park side, is recycled timbers off the existing pontoons. I do have up at the side office 3 or 4 pieces that have been dressed, and they look magnificent. So if you're there, please come up and have a look at them. Just part of the old becoming part of the new. They're really exciting.
Any questions on the floor? Okay, and what about anyone from the teams? Anyone like to ask any questions? I don't think we have any questions from online either. So thank you very much for your time, everyone. That is the end of today. As I said, we will share information, we'll load the presentation, the video. So hopefully we're not seen on the video because we're not as good looking as Craig. And you'll be able to have a look at that. But out of that will come some questions. I'm sure you'll come away and think, I should have asked that. Please put them back to the forum and we'll get that information. But we'll definitely will update the detail around the quantities of the field or direct you to the document somewhere. Well, thank you very much for your time and have a good day. Hope it finds out.